True leadership is not about position, title, or the seat you occupy. It is not measured by how many people serve you, but by how many people you are willing to serve. The highest form of leadership is service. Power is not in how loud your voice is, but in how low your heart can bow. When a leader chooses humility, that leader chooses influence that cannot be shaken. The world teaches us that leadership is climbing to the top so others can look up to you. But true leadership is descending to the bottom so you can lift others up. When you understand this, leadership stops being about control and becomes about responsibility. The greatest leaders do not seek to be recognized. They seek to make others recognized. They do not compete with those they lead. They complete those they lead. Humility is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is choosing to put the needs of others above your own ego. When you walk into a room, humility does not ask, "Who will notice me?" Humility asks, "Who can I notice? Who can I lift?" This kind of attitude transforms followers into leaders because they have witnessed someone leading through example, not through fear. Servant leadership demands that we give up our right to be served and take up the privilege of serving. When you become a servant leader, you are not diminished, you are magnified. Your authority does not shrink, it expands, because people willingly follow those who care for them. Power through humility is the kind of power that cannot be taken away because it does not depend on a throne, a title, or a crown. It depends on character. When a leader embraces humility, every decision is guided by a higher purpose, not by selfish ambition. The question becomes not, what do I gain? But what do we all gain? This mindset transforms organizations, families, and nations because it shifts the focus from self to service. The world is desperate for leaders who will serve rather than be served. Leaders who see leadership as stewardship. Leaders who use their influence to make others great. True leadership has never been about position, prestige, or power over others. It is not about the size of your office or the number of people who answer to you. True leadership is about influence that comes from service. It is about the kind of strength that kneels, the kind of authority that bends down to lift others up. A true leader is not one who demands honor, but one who gives it. The power of leadership is discovered in humility, not pride. The tragedy of our age is that many confuse leadership with control. They think to lead is to dominate, to command, to have the final word. But leadership is not dictatorship. Leadership is stewardship. A leader is entrusted with the gift of people, the treasure of their potential, the responsibility of their growth. Leadership is the art of making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts even in your absence. This kind of leadership cannot be achieved through pride because pride pushes people away. Pride creates distance. Humility, on the other hand, draws people closer because humility says, "I am here for you. I am not here to use you for my vision. I am here to help you fulfill yours." The greatest leaders are those who see leadership not as an opportunity to be served, but as a calling to serve. They understand that leadership is not a right but a privilege. When you step into leadership, you are stepping into a position of sacrifice. It will cost you time, energy, convenience, and sometimes your own comfort. But the reward is that you are building people, shaping futures, and influencing generations. Service is the price of greatness. Humility is not weakness. It is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is shifting the focus away from your ego and placing on the purpose that is bigger than you. A humble leader does not need to remind people of their authority. A humble leader allows their character to speak for them. People follow willingly because they trust you, not because they fear you. Fear may produce compliance, but only humility produces commitment. When people believe that you genuinely care for them, they will go the extra mile with you. A servant leader listens before speaking. They seek to understand before they seek to be understood. They are not quick to issue orders, but quick to ask questions. They draw out the wisdom, creativity, and potential of those they lead. This is because a servant leader does not see followers as tools, but as partners. Every person under their influence is seen as a seed that must be watered, a gift that must be unwrapped, a destiny that must be unlocked. Servant leadership is about multiplication, not manipulation. When a leader embraces humility, they change the atmosphere of their environment. People feel safe to share ideas, to make mistakes, to grow without fear of being crushed by criticism. A humble leader does not use mistakes as a weapon, but as a moment for mentorship. They understand that every failure is a classroom, every challenge an opportunity to grow. This kind of leader creates a culture where others flourish because they are not intimidated by the success of their team. In fact, a servant leader celebrates the success of others as if it were their own. They know that their greatness is not measured by how high they rise, but by how high they cause others to rise. In the world system, leadership is measured by how many people serve you. In true leadership, greatness is measured by how many people you serve. Some of the most powerful leaders in history were those who gave their lives to serve a cause bigger than themselves. They were willing to be misunderstood, criticized, and even rejected, as long as they were fulfilling their assignment of service. Humility gives you the courage to lead without applause. It allows you to stay focused when no one is watching, to stay faithful when no one is clapping, because your leadership is not fueled by ego, but by purpose. A servant leader understands that leadership is seasonal. You will not always be in the position you are in. One day someone else will sit in your seat, hold your title, carry your responsibility. The question is, will they inherit a culture of humility or a culture of pride? The legacy you leave behind is not the building you construct, the company you grow, or the profit you make. The legacy you leave is the people you raised, the lives you touched, the leaders you developed. Servant leadership ensures that when you are gone, others will carry the vision forward because you invested in them, not just in yourself. Humility is powerful because it keeps a leader teachable. The moment a leader stops learning, they stop leading. A leader who believes they have arrived is already falling. Humility says there is always more to learn, more to understand, more to become. It keeps you on your knees in prayer, seeking wisdom beyond your own. It keeps you listening to those who may know something you don't. It allows you to admit mistakes and make corrections. A proud leader will cover up their errors, but a humble leader will confess them and grow from them. This vulnerability earns trust, and trust is the currency of leadership. Servant leadership requires courage, because humility is not always celebrated. In a world that prizes self-promotion, choosing to serve can look like weakness. But the truth is, it takes far more strength to stoop down and wash someone else's feet than it does to sit on a throne and demand they wash yours. Humility is not passive, it is active. It is a daily decision to put others before yourself, to sacrifice comfort for calling, to use your position to elevate others rather than yourself. When you practice servant leadership, you are planting seeds in the hearts of others that will grow long after you are gone. Those you serve will one day serve others, and your influence will multiply beyond what you could have done alone. This is why servant leadership is so powerful. It outlives the leader. It creates a ripple effect that continues to touch lives for generations. Power through humility is the most unshakable power on earth. It does not depend on wealth, status, or political systems. It is rooted in character. A humble leader cannot be overthrown because their leadership was never about them in the first place. Even if you remove them from their position, their influence remains because it was written into the lives of those they served. That is the secret of true greatness, to live in such a way that your presence is felt even in your absence. Humility unlocks the heart of people. When a leader walks in humility, They are approachable, they are trusted, and they are respected. People open up to them, share the struggles, and invite them into their lives. This creates a level of influence that no title can buy. A servant leader has the power to transform entire communities because they lead from the heart, not just the head. True leadership will cost you pride. It will require you to apologize first, to forgive quickly, to share credit generously, to put others before yourself. But in the end, it will give you something greater than pride could ever offer. It will give you honor. Honor that is not demanded, but freely given by those who watched you lead with integrity and humility. That kind of honor is eternal. The greatest challenge of leadership is not gaining followers. It is staying grounded when they arrive. Many begin as humble servants, eager to help others, eager to add value. But once influence grows and recognition comes, pride quietly knocks at the door. A true servant leader must guard their heart against the subtle poison of self-importance. Leadership must never become about being above people, but being among them. A wise leader stays close enough to be touched by those they serve, close enough to hear their cries, close enough to understand their struggles. There is something powerful about a leader who can stand on a stage before thousands, yet still stoop down to listen to one person who is hurting. There is a unique authority that comes from being willing to take off the robe of status and put on the towel of service. This is the paradox of greatness. The lower you go, the higher you rise. Humility is the secret staircase to influence. People trust leaders who are willing to serve them because service proves sincerity. A servant leader does not fear empowering others. Prideful leaders are often insecure because they think empowering others will make them less valuable. But empowering others does not diminish you, it multiplies you. When you train others to lead, you create a legacy that continues even when you are no longer there. Insecure leaders keep others small to protect their position. Servant leaders make others great so the vision can expand. That is the difference between a leader who rules and a leader who serves. Humility produces a different kind of strength. It produces inner stability. You are no longer shaken by praise or criticism because your worth does not come from what people think, but from the purpose you carry. Servant leaders do not need to prove themselves through titles or accolades. They are secure in who they are. This allows them to focus entirely on the growth of those they lead. It allows them to be patient, to mentor, to correct with love rather than harshness. They are not in a rush to show results at the expense of people's development. They would rather grow strong people slowly than rush weak people into shallow success. The measure of a true leader is not how many followers they have, but how many leaders they produce. Servant leadership is a calling to duplication. It is saying, I will pour into you until you no longer need me, until you are capable of leading others. This takes courage, because a servant leader must be willing to let go when their mentees grow. A prideful leader wants to hold on tightly so that everyone always looks to them as the center. A servant leader celebrates when others surpass them, because that means the vision has gone further than one person could carry it. Servant leadership also demands a deep awareness of others. It is not enough to simply give orders or lay out a plan. A true leader must know the hearts of those they lead. They must understand their strengths, their weaknesses, their dreams, their fears. This is why humility is essential. Pride blinds, but humility opens the eyes. A leader who is full of pride sees only themselves and their own agenda. A leader who walks in humility sees those around them and recognizes the value they bring. They take time to invest in the personal development of their team, knowing that every investment they make in people multiplies in impact. Humility has the power to disarm conflict. When pride clashes with pride, it produces division, anger, and resentment. But when humility enters the room, it softens hearts and makes reconciliation possible. A servant leader is often the first to apologize, even when they are not fully at fault, because they value relationship more than ego. This kind of humility does not make a leader weak. It makes them unshakable, because they are not bound by the need to always win arguments. They are bound by the desire to preserve unity. The world is filled with noise, filled with voices fighting to be heard, fighting to be noticed. But servant leaders stand out because they are not shouting for attention, they are listening. They lead quietly but powerfully, letting their actions speak louder than their words. People are drawn to such leaders because they feel seen and valued, not exploited. Servant leadership is attractive because it restores dignity to those who follow. It reminds them that they matter, that their contribution counts, that their presence has purpose. The longer you lead, the more opportunities you will have to choose pride or humility. You will face moments where you could take the credit or share it, moments where you could demand honor or give it, moments where you could use your power to push someone down or use it to lift someone up. Every time you choose humility, you deepen your impact. Every time you choose to serve rather than be served, you strengthen your influence. The greatest leaders do not just have followers, they have loyal followers. Loyalty cannot be bought or forced. It is earned through consistent, humble service. A servant leader sees leadership as a lifelong journey of growth. They do not reach a point where they say, I have arrived. They keep stretching, keep learning, keep refining themselves. Humility keeps the heart soft, keeps the spirit teachable, keeps the vision clear. Pride makes the heart hard, the ears deaf, and the mind closed. This is why humility must be guarded carefully. It is the key that keeps you connected to people and to your own purpose. Servant leadership may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. It requires patience when you want to rush, compassion when you feel frustrated, forgiveness when you feel wronged. But the reward is influence that is deep, relationships that are real, and a legacy that is lasting. The world does not just need more leaders. It needs more servant leaders. Those who lead from the heart, those who see leadership as a sacred trust, those who use their position not to oppress, but to elevate, not to boast, but to bless. If you want to know the true measure of your leadership, do not count the number of people under you. Count the number of people you have lifted. Do not measure success by how high you have climbed, but by how many others can now climb because of you. The world is waiting for leaders who will serve, who will humble themselves, who will use their strength to empower the weak and their wisdom to guide the lost. Choose today to lead differently. Choose to lead with compassion, with character, with humility. Choose to make service your strategy and integrity your influence. Long after your titles are gone and your name fades from memory, the lives you touch will still carry your fingerprints. True greatness is not in being remembered, but in leaving behind something worth remembering. So rise up, not to rule, but to serve. Bend low, not in defeat, but in purpose. For the greatest leaders are not those who stand above the crowd, but those who get beneath the weight of others and lift them higher.